Warning. This video contains graphic content of a Montreal Canadiens fan being critical of his team because they are not playing to their level. Some viewers may find this content to be highly negative and unconstructive. Viewer discretion is advised.
What is that?
Fire from the gods.
I don't know. I love the
First line.
It's so bad.
Remember that movie? Fred Savage, 1989, Beau Bridges. Who else was in that movie? I can't remember. It was about a little boy who busts his autistic brother out of an institution so they can hitchhike from Utah to California alone by themselves in the desert, no food or water, relying on strangers to help them get there. They meet a little girl and they kidnap her and force her to come along with them. They stop at a casino and the little girl pretends as if she's been groped by an older man to get him kicked out of the casino. You know, just an average kids movie from the 80s. But I'll always remember the moral of the story. Don't underestimate someone just because they're showing ineptitude. And that's what I would say about the Montreal Canadiens tonight. Man, I had to do some heavy lifting to get to that moral. Anyway, let's talk about it.
Me, I don't even have idea like how they make maple syrup.
So the Montreal Canadiens faced off against the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight at the Scotiabank Arena. This is their second meeting of the season. Montreal won by a small margin last time, 1-0. A little bit has changed since that first game, but largely things are the same. Having a look at tonight's lines, the Canadiens didn't make a whole lot of changes. Montembeault starts in net. Both Canadiens goaltenders are demonstrating awful save percentages, but it's not completely indicative of their play. The defense has been just abhorrent, and tonight is more of the same. I'm not going to go through all of the highlights in detail, but we will get through the highlights. I'll show you the goals. There was one kind of piece of funky business that happened tonight, but this was a pretty straightforward game, at least in terms of the key set piece moments. Before we get into the highlights though, can you hit that subscribe button? We're well on our way to 5,000 subscribers and I'd love to have you. If you're already a subscriber, you can do me a favor by liking the video or sharing this. I haven't really tested it, but I think probably YouTube knows when you share these videos, or at least click the share button. It might, I don't know, it might help me out. At very least, if you share it with someone and tell them to watch the video, I'll get another view. Anyway, back to the game. So the first period started off well enough for the Montreal Canadiens. Some pretty level-headed play, but no sparks, no fire. At 14:55, Montreal makes the first big mistake when Josh Anderson allows Connor Timmins too much space at the point, and Timmins walks up with a bunch of screens and beats Montembeault easy. 1-0 Toronto Maple Leafs after one period. The second period is literally where everything else happens that I'm going to go over. Third period was a desert with Montreal kind of showing some signs of life. At 5:39, William Nylander scores. This was a power play goal. I felt they really let him walk up with it, but Lane Hudson did make a pretty crucial error by overskating, but I don't think it's enough to dwell on. It's a critical error. Then at 8:24, Mitch Marner strikes. This was a shorthanded goal. Pretty bad flub. This is now, I think, 2 or 3 games in a row where Matheson loses at the blue line. Then at 9:26, the Canadiens get bailed out a little by veteran Brendan Gallagher.
La passe pour Gallagher. Vers Armia. Hudson. La passe. Le tir. L'arrêt. Le retour. Gallagher.
It really says a lot that Brendan Gallagher has the second most goals on the team. Is that right? I have to make sure. All right. So Nick Suzuki has 13 points. Caulfield has 11. Mike Matheson has 9. Brendan Gallagher has 8. Caulfield has 10 goals. Gallagher has 7. I mean, with 7 goals, that's respectable. Gallagher is having a great year, and it's because of his efforts. You can't take that away from him. I just don't think he should be the one that is getting these goals. I don't think that something like half the goals on the team should be coming from the third line. But we'll get to that more. I shouldn't have dwelled on that for so long. Gallagher's goal was a power play goal, so that helps the power play look a little bit better. But if you're measuring how good the power play is on the Montreal Canadiens right now, that's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. So with that momentum, with those signs of life, that the Canadiens now have. What do you think they do with it? Well, about 3 minutes later, John Tavares scores on a power play goal. I think this power play was courtesy of Yoel Armia taking a really unnecessary interference call on Mitch Marner. It might have been in the offensive zone as well. Excuse me, I'm getting two bad penalties mixed up. That was the penalty with Emil Heinemann. Armia was called for a minor tripping penalty against Matthew Nyes. So it is now 4-1 Toronto. And that's how it would end. But before the second period was up, David Savard and Max Domi start to tussle a little bit. And if you've been watching the feud between Max Domi and David Savard, they've been kind of at it this season. I posted a video. The video did actually pretty well. Domi was observed calling Savard a fat, insert profanity word here. I think that Domi wanted to fight with Savard, but Savard is a very strong pacifist. I don't think he believes in fighting, but in this instance, it looked like he was changing his mind and was ready to fight with Domi. The problem is, when you're asked to dance, you got to do it right away or not at all. And at this point, I'm thinking the game is getting out of control. It's probably only going to get worse. Are we going to see a Xhekaj and Revo rematch? Sadly, we didn't get that. So instead, I had to struggle with how I would bring you this video, how I was going to somehow put a positive spin on it, what kind of introduction I was going to make. I just needed one highlight. I don't think I can use Brendan Gallagher getting a goal as the highlight. He gets goals now. That's his role on the team. He's one of the big point getters. He's one of the big goal scorers on the team. Oh, I am getting frustrated, guys. I know you come here for the positive content, but I'm worried about where the team is at. I'm worried about the players, and I'm worried about the options that St. Louis still has in his pocket. I think St. Louis is a good coach. I think he makes a lot of good decisions. These are the guys he has. He's running the right lines. He's trying things out even. And when asked about the game in the post-game press session, he said he was disappointed. He thinks that he's dealing with a fragile group right now and that he needs to find ways to help them work on their confidence. The thing with that is, well, first, it's an excuse he's used before, and you shouldn't be having these issues at this professional level after this much time, knowing what you need to do, having those fundamentals in place that you can fall back on, and just being a group of guys that have played together for this long, understanding your team's chemistry, composition. What I'm trying to say is it's hard to argue that there isn't some regression here, and you can't just blame it on fragility or the amount of doubt someone has about themselves. Does that make sense? So then what is it? Are other teams getting better? Are they indeed regressing? Or is it a combination of a number of things? I think so. If they're regressing, what is it? Is the passion not there? Are they giving up? Who's giving up? Do messages need to be sent? Does a strong message need to be sent? Getting back to how much does Martin St. Louis have in his pocket to pull out when there is a fire? How can he put out this fire? What kind of fire extinguisher does he have? Well, what is this? This is 6 games now. If you have a fire extinguisher, you have to start using it. I think it's long past due that Matheson and now Gouli need to be sent a message. Way too many mistakes. Gouli was losing battles against the boards again tonight. Matheson gave up a goal. The first line I had to ask myself was St. Louis benching Caulfield, Suzuki, and Doc, because I wasn't seeing them on the ice. They weren't visible in terms of making a difference. And yes, in fact, I was correct. Doc played about 15 minutes tonight. Caulfield played about 16, 17 minutes. Dvorak played about 16 minutes. Newhook played about 16 minutes. Evans played about 16 minutes. Gallagher played a little over 15 minutes. Is that a message for the first line? I don't think that's a big enough message. Slavkovsky played about 12 minutes tonight. That might be a big enough message for Slavkovsky. I know how hard he takes these things on himself. I think he's trying to prove something right now, and he's doing a really bad job of it. And I think it's a bad experiment. And I think that Martin St. Louis should end it. He's 20 years old. He doesn't need to be proving that he can bolster a line. Oh, anyway, I regress. I think that I've said enough. I said my piece here. And I'm not always going to be right about these things. I might be completely off. Let me know what you think. I know I see a lot of you leaving impassioned comments about what you think should happen. I'll be completely honest. I see a lot of hot takes, and you might not be wrong. I try to stay away from those hot takes, try to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially the coach, which I believe, honestly, has a 2-3 year plan, and this year's plan is probably going a little worse than what he thought, but we weren't going to see anything huge this season anyway. And I hate saying that because that's such a loser mentality. But going back to my videos earlier in this season, preseason even, I thought that if everyone was playing to their absolute maximum potential, to their best ability, beating their previous stats, maybe they would have the opportunity for a wildcard spot. Like if you take everybody's top point seasons, add those up and see how that works in relation to the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Detroit Red Wings, Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, you're starting to see where they might be able to get into the playoffs. But is it realistic to think that everybody might have their best season ever? No. Add Laine to the mix, things change a little bit, but where's Laine? I'll tell you where Laine is. Last video, and I've been getting pretty good at these, I said we might get Laine news. It's now past 12, so yesterday, November 9th, Laine was seen skating by himself at the Habs practice facility in Montreal. So there's that. What does it mean? Well, that he's practicing skating by himself. He can skate now. What I like about this is it makes you feel like he sees his team struggling and he probably knows he doesn't have to get out there and skate, but he's been cleared obviously to be able to, and he's out there doing it. I really like that. But that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you again so much for watching. I really, really appreciate all of your help, all of your support, your comments, lots of comments lately. I have to get back and read them all. I had a really busy day today. We were doing family portraits. I had to bring in a bunch of patio equipment. I've been sick, as you guys know, and I was really supposed to bring in a bunch of stuff and put it in the shed weeks ago. And I just, every weekend I feel like garbage. It's funny how that works. Every weekend, when you want to kick back and relax or do something productive. Anyway, please comment. What are you doing at this time of the year? Are you already getting ready for the holiday season? Buy any gifts for Christmas? Don't tell me you're taking your tree out. Are you putting up your tree and your ornaments? I guess whatever makes you happy. Like the video, helps me out with search results or something or other. Subscribe if you're not already a whiskey fiend. I'd love to have you. And as always, I'll see you down below in the comments.